What about police? What about fire? Hospitals, schools, all these things. Can they benefit from attaching to every home? Absolutely. So they should cough up. And when they do, now that $2,000 per household problem just became a $300 problem, or a $250, or a $150. And I've seen this time and time and time again when it's done well. So, finance is tied to your governance model. Open to new entrants, flexible, enables different tiers or classes of members. I've talked to some of the wardens about these kind of structures in the past. I don't want to, honestly, I run whole day workshops on governance and the importance of governance and finance and how these three things lay together. It's not for today's session, but if you have specific questions about these kind of things, please feel free to grab me later or talk with the folks on the broadband steering group. Then you get to infrastructure. My God. I've been, like I said, doing this kind of stuff for the last 24 years. God, I'm getting old. And I started out this way too. Technology's cool. It does a lot of cool things. You got iPhones, and you got, cell phones, and you got your neat computer, and you got all this kind of stuff. And we get enamored by this stuff. It's like the shiny metal. It's like the butterfly floating by. And it's like, you got the really important stuff over here, and then the butterfly goes past. And I think the first thing that all people interested in community broadband should be given is Ritalin. Because the butterfly is a distraction. I used to work for a vendor. I used to run a vendor. The whole technology thing, I love it. I love technology. And vendors are backed by people who want you out selling, that technology. And we believe in it. It's not that we're trying to go out and cheat somebody. We have cool stuff that can really help change the world. And so we want to get out there and get in front of you guys and say, hey, look at my wireless thing, or look at my satellite thing, or hey, look at my fiber thing. And we get you immediately, as soon as we hear, us sales guys, we hear that somebody's thinking about broadband, there we are, hey, heard you're interested in broadband. No, I was talking about Ed Broadbent. Oh, okay, well, but if you were, we could sell you the satellite dish. Okay, man, thanks. So what happens is that technology becomes the first thing on the plate. Is it DSL? Is it fiber? Is it this? Is it that? Is it the other thing? Butterfly. It's not about the technology. Technos, anybody here speak Latin, Greek stuff? The technos means tool. It'd be like getting really, really excited about the hammer that you're going to have. And then your wife is wandering around, looking at you wandering around with this hammer, just going, oh. Like, when are you going to build the house? And that's the wrong tool for this. I got screws. We're going to build this house. So the concept is that tool is something that you apply to a problem. And a problem has an objective. And so you say, I've got a problem, and I want to resolve it in this way, and therefore now I apply this tool. Right? That's proper logic. You don't go, wow, a tool. Okay, now, where's a problem? That's not the way it's got to happen. And so, to the chagrin of the infrastructure providers, ignore this layer until the last possible minute. Once you've got all this stuff, we're going to go around and we're going to get to the vision, and then we're going to come back and we're going to slip in the right infrastructure to solve the problem. But you don't start out, anybody who tells you that, oh yeah, you can't afford fiber, or you can't afford satellite, or you can't, or wireless is the wrong thing. It doesn't have the right life expectancy. All your technology guys, they will baffle you with the reasons why all the tools are wrong up front, or the other guy's tool is wrong, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. Figure out what your dream is first. Where do you want to go? What is the problem? What's the objective? Get the people together to agree on what that dream is. Collaborate and share about how we could achieve that dream together. And then figure out how much you can pull together from financing, this kind of thing, who could put in this and who could put that, that's where we want to get to. And then figure out, okay, now, these are the tools that we need to apply. So, we spent a lot of time here. That enables the infrastructure later on. That's great, but we're going to now slip that layer in and kind of hide it and not go back to it again for a while. So the next layer is, over top of the infrastructure, is the application layer. And this is the part of a successful, intelligent community that is experienced by the public. Right? These are your health applications we talked about. The education. Wow, I've got small education and big education. Maybe this is actually just ed, and this is education. But the point being that you've got, these are the applications that we show on the front that you've heard about last night and that you're going to hear about throughout the day. They are both public and private. There is nothing wrong with a not-for-profit delivering services over this network. There is nothing wrong with the public sector delivering services over this network. That is what it's for. And obviously the private sector is going to compete to sell services over this network. When these applications are launched, this, folks, is where you generate your revenue, this is where you generate interest, and this is where you, most importantly, where you generate impact. And this is why, when you focus on infrastructure, you're not focusing on impact. This is where you focus on impact. So, until you know all these other things, when the sales guys from the infrastructure companies come to you, just say, hey, great to meet you, we're not ready for you yet. Come back again. We'll contact you when we are, but we don't need to hear about that stuff right now. We're still figuring out our vision and our mission and that kind of stuff, and what we want to do with the thing. And then I get to make my animation again. And you got the last layer that sits over and above that application layer, and this is the realization layer. This is the bringing it all together layer. This is where it all comes together to make that impact that opening slide had, I hope, on you guys. This is things like marketing. This is a portal, a web portal, basically. But it is a marketing machine. These people were absolutely brilliant at marketing. Whole structured marketing programs to go after the citizens, the businesses within that community and show the value of this thing and make sure they really understood it. One of the key ways, we have failure all along the way. But once you get up to actually building something, one of the most common ways these things fail is because of a lack of focus on marketing. And it's one of the things that I've been public sector, nonprofit, private sector. It's one of the things that the private sector guys always mock the public sector guys for. Is, you guys, full of passion, full of great ideas, full of all these, things, full of cash. Way to go, guys. You got this network built, and you got no ability to market. There is not a natural skill set sitting in the public sector. The education, teaching people about what they can do with this thing, interconnecting people at the level, and integration, that concept that these applications, health in schools, schools in health. That's an integration between silos, and now what we're going to do is stitch that community together and really pull it down and make it very, very strong. Results of this layer is community integration. We are rebuilding and revitalizing community and breaking down silos and putting it together the way it should be put together. Flexibility and openness. Properly designed now at this stage, when you're getting into this thing now, you can be changing these things, interacting these things. New things can be innovative and developed out of the innovation center or out of these other places. And now those applications come down here, and this thing just kind of begins to grow on its own. And you, of course, encourage that whole sense of entrepreneurialism. Every day I'm sitting in my house, and I see, hey, man, Joe's Garage is on here now, and this is on here now, and this is on here now. And Pete, my next-door neighbor, is selling wood crafts. What am I doing? And what we begin to see in these initiatives that have been doing this for a while is it begins to ramp like this because people look and see everybody else is doing it and that it's doable and that it's really easy. How did you do that? And it begins to spread and then whew, off we go. And now all of a sudden we have a digital community. So, quick moment on the risks. Speed, momentum. You guys are probably already realizing this. It is really easy to get bogged down in one of these things. When I was with Columbia Mountain Open Network, one of the biggest mistakes that we made, and I knew it at the time when I was up there, and the board decided to hire KPMG to do a study of the study of the study of the original study. And that was what the next set of budget was going for. We spent over $350,000. Maybe I'm not allowed to talk about this anymore. But we spent some amount of money between $349,000 and $351,000 on studies. And the single biggest lesson that I learned is that, and I'm going to talk about this on the next slide, is if I'd have taken that cash and done something really cool, I'd have had that initiative flying 3 or 4 years ahead of when we finally got it launched up off the ground. If I just picked one of my problems and just applied that money to getting something done and making a difference, it would have had a way bigger impact. Keep speed and momentum. Don't let yourself get bogged down in a huge, long process. It doesn't mean not to. You got to do the right thing. You got to properly architect it and march off there. But studying the study of the study and trying to be safe is a waste of everybody's time. Because that leads, if you're really, really slow, what happens is all the believers that you got early on, they stop believing in you. They start thinking you're just talk and that you're not actually going to get anything done. And now you begin to lose credibility, and now your ability to build strong governance goes away. The next thing that happens is the other champions that you had at the table early on, who are almost as passionate about you but not quite as much energy, weren't born with 4 cups of coffee flowing through their veins like me, they burn out, and they go away. And now all of a sudden it's like, and it begins harder and harder and harder to be successful. Ego, greed, and power, again, this whole thing is built on collaboration. Collaboration doesn't work so good when it's all about you, and everybody knows that. If it's about them, it works fantastic. Finance, obviously, is a risk. If you can't pull together the right financing for the thing, it doesn't work. And so again, most organizations where we see this really fail, again, it comes from the fact that they looked to try and do it only themselves. The health group tried to do it, just build their network. The school just tried to build their network. Somebody else tried to build their network. And now all of a sudden, the ability, we can't build all this to all these people, and we can't build all this to all these people, and we can't build all these. It's looking at it from a single source. And scope. Again, show the quick wins. Pick a small thing to do first and do it. And then the next thing, and then the next thing. But make sure you've got the big plan overall. I'm going to skip past centralization for now. Okay, things to watch for. Communities, unlike people, don't die, unlike some people, don't die instantaneously. You can't look at a community and say, I remember on August 17th, the day that community died. It doesn't happen that way. And so I get asked this question a whole lot. It's one of the things that, Matt, we'd love you to do is to stand up in front of everybody and talk about all the great things that can happen, and then talk about what would happen if we don't do this. And my response to them is I want to make it really clear. I can talk about all the great things that can happen because we've got case studies around the world that we've been working with, and it's really cool. On the what happens if you don't do it, I'm not going to stand up there and lie to the people and say, hey, if you don't do this, next year at this time, mark my words, a hex is coming.